Hello Facebook. It's been a long time since I've done a live video, and as I prepared to figure out what the heck I want to say, reflecting on especially my Facebook lives as a digital nomad, because those are typically, hey Ralph, exciting adventures that I'm having, and new places and new people and new trials and tribulations that happen with that lifestyle. Usually I get great feedback, and I hear that I inspire people, which is awesome. And one of my core motivations is to inspire people to do things in their own style and be unique. And since lockdown, and then since the Black Lives Matter and political, protests and things that are happening, I definitely have just shied away from being out there for various reasons. And part of that comes from me being in a hot spot right now. And I didn't post, I guess Louisiana was a hot spot too, where I was, but I don't even know if I did any Facebook Lives from there. And really, was posting a lot less. Really, like the concept of be safe is, I'll probably get over this, but it's like nails on a chalkboard to me, because and I say it too, I tell people to fly safe when really they have no control over what's going to happen, right? You're not going to just hang an arm out the window and be unsafe that way. So, and I just think about my travels, and I've counted that I've traveled alone in 5 continents. The only continents I haven't traveled alone or been to is Australia and Antarctica. And I will probably never be alone in Antarctica. That would be impossible. I successfully, I'm still here. I've had great stories. I've been blessed and grateful that, nothing ever super traumatic happened. And I made choices that you would deem unsafe, throughout time. When I was 23, I traveled alone for the first time in Italy. And I hitchhiked twice. One was with a couple of other females that I met, travelers, and then one was by myself. And I made that decision because it was hot and I was lost, and the hostel that I was trying to go to was closed and overgrown with vines. So I've hitchhiked, I've shared drinks with complete strangers, taken a taste of something, I've eaten raw food in weird countries, I've just traveled alone in all sorts of countries. Mom, don't listen. I had cops, this was when I was younger, follow us home. Anyway, that's another story I'll save for another time. Sabrina, if you're out there, you remember that one. So there's been all sorts of times where I have not been safe, and right now the concept of safe is stay indoors, stay away from people, and that's, I understand that we have the pandemic going on, and definitely I'm wearing masks and I'm socially distant from other people. Even when I travel and I'm in places like this and on the airplane, people wear masks, and you go to restaurants and some of them have the temperature and all that stuff. So it's like living in an OCD world, which is, it's scary to me. It's understandable. I get why it's happening, but to me it brings up, the aspects of mental health. And when I posted the first post about Florida yesterday or the day before, I got private messages and comments of oh, you're in a hot spot, and oh, what are you doing there, and why are you there? Do you have to be there? No, I don't have to be really anywhere. That's the interesting thing about my lifestyle, is that I can work from anywhere, and I get to choose where I go. And so the mental health aspects of it, I think back to the very beginning of lockdown, probably the first week when I was with my parents, and I went out for a drive and actually had an anxiety attack, one of only few I've had in my life. And you take someone who is a pretty extreme extrovert, and I'm an Enneagram type 7, for those of you who know about the Enneagram. And I'm also single. I was with my parents, so I'm super grateful for that, because I know a lot of single friends that were just inside their house by themselves, and I couldn't imagine that, because I'm so grateful that I had that, but not in a romantic relationship or have that kind of support. And I had an anxiety attack, and I actually had to drive to one of my best friend's houses, and we hung out in the driveway, and he kind of helped me talk through it. And since then, there's just been a whole, I'm a pretty balanced person, never really been, fully depressed, but I've definitely had weeks of depression through this. And, a friend and I were in the ocean here in Florida a couple days ago, and just kind of laughing at the perception of Florida. There's a lot of jokes that are made about Florida, and the fact right now that the numbers are increasing. It was Father's Day, and their beach was busier than it is today, but still people are way further apart than 6 feet apart, and we're in the sunshine, in the ocean, and in the sand, and grounding to nature, and we were just starting to laugh, like, oh gosh, Florida, how dare you soak up sunshine and enjoy nature and connect. And it's like, that's a huge part of staying healthy and safe too. And so I'm not trying to weigh in on any side of all the stuff that's out there, but it was interesting. I literally sat and prepped and took notes on what to say in this live, because it's just so hostile out there, and I'm just here living my life as a digital nomad, as I always have. Tomorrow I'm on a plane back to my parents' house, and we'll be there for, I don't know, I'm gonna guess a month, but it's just interesting how things change when I'm out, in Vietnam, enjoying some pho and having, those are all ventures that people say, oh, they live vicariously through me and they follow my travels and all this. And then all of a sudden, when I come to some, place that they've watched the news too much, and every day it's, they're hearing Florida and these certain states, and they don't really know. It's just interesting, both my reaction, oh, there's a big iguana going through the grass. The iguanas kind of scare me a little bit. I try not to, but they look like dinosaurs. So anyway, I guess just my point in sharing this is, one, to reconnect with everybody, and then and just really talk about the mental aspects, and encouraging people, just like I've done in the rest of my lifestyle choices, to behave and make choices and do what you need to do for your own mental health. And that could be within your house, that could be continuing more Zoom happy hours, that could be increasing your circle. I have a close friend who has really experiencing some deeper levels of depression, and her doctor said, you've got to increase your circle, you've got to start going to outside barbecues, and letting in the rest of the world, especially that could relate to her and her situation of having 2 young kids. So being a health coach, a wellness consultant, the mental aspects and the spiritual aspects of what we put our energy in, what you think about, you bring about. And for those who are focused on the news and the numbers and all of that stuff, and just worrying about whether someone else is wearing their mask and all this stuff, it's feeding more of that dis-ease in your mind and body. So I work hard to push that stuff aside. I want to take in some news so that I do know what's going on, and maybe flights get canceled from Florida, so I should keep aware of that. But anyway, that's what I popped on here to say. And then a totally topic change just real fast. I want to let any of my barre class people know that I'm going to start back up next Tuesday, so look out for an email from that. But if you want to join me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going back to teaching the virtual barre sculpt, so please join me. And I look forward to you guys experiencing more nature and connecting and doing what feels good to you during this crazy time. Take care.